circles is your usual suspect once again. It's yet another night of action from the UEFA Champions League. That's for the quarterfinals. And today, just like yesterday, we are having two games. Paris Saint-Germain, the French champions, who were recently crowned, I think last weekend, crowned the 13th for the 13th time. The French League One champions are hosting Aston Villa. Aston Villa there, who did win the European Cup or UEFA Champions League, now as it is called, back I think in 1982, 83. That's I think 82 that campaign. Anyway, when they beat up against I think Bayern Munich on the final by goal to nil. Anyways, they are facing off with Paris Saint-Germain, while the other fixture is between Barcelona, the five-time champions, having last won the competition in 2015 under the charges of Luis Enrique. There, when they beat up against, I think, Juventus in the final by 3-1. That Barcelona side that had MNS, that's Neymar, Messi, and Luis Suarez in their front line of ranks. They're up against Borrusia Dortmund. Dortmund, twice they've been losing finalists in 2013 and very recently in 2024. But that notwithstanding, I thought we should hook on here and dive into that action. The lineups are already out as we edge closer to kickoff, which will be, I think, in about 14 minutes or thereabout. So the starting lineups for Paris Saint-Germain: in goal, they have Gigi Donnarumma or Gianluigi Donnarumma. The Gigi is, a short form for Gianluigi Donnarumma. Achraf Hakimi, Lucas Berardo, William Pacho, and Nuno Mendes. Now, for those of you that do remember the double tie between PSG and Liverpool, Nuno Mendes was a standout player as he defended incredibly well against Mohamed Salah. So he gets the nod there at left back. Then in midfield, they have a midfield of three because they are using a 4-3-3 system. That's for Paris Saint-Germain. João Neves is in the midfield. We all know him, signed from Benfica. And then Vitinha and Fabian Ruiz. That's the midfield. Then their front three is led by Ousmane Dembele as the center forward or false nine, whichever way you want to describe it. Then have Kivicha Kvaratskhelia and Desire Doe there. That's for their starting lineup as far as things go. Then, of course, on the bench, they do have some incredible players, including the likes of Bradley Barcola, Presido Kimpembe, Giancarlo Ramos, Lee Kang-in, Lucas Hernandez, and so many others there. But quite a very strong starting 11 there from Luis Enrique's side, who has the experience, I think, to take PSG quite far in this competition. If there's anything that stands right for PSG, is the manager's experience, and they do come in this fixture with zero pressure from the league because they've already been crowned champions, as we all know that in the French League One. Anyways, on the side of Aston Villa, Unai Emery, who is an equally experienced manager on the European scene, having guided, having guided Villarreal to the triumph of the UEFA Europa League. He won the competition 3 times on the spin, I think, with Sevilla. So clearly, he does have the experience as far as European competitions are concerned, but mainly in the UEFA Europa League. Never mind that he was a losing finalist when he was in charge of Arsenal. That's for the 2018-2019 season in Baku. That's Azerbaijan, when Chelsea were beating up against Arsenal by 4-1. Kuma, hi Kuma, thanks for tuning to the broadcast. Then, like I was saying, Aston Villa do have Emiliano Martinez in goal. They have Lucas Digne, Pau Torres, Ezri Konsa, and Mati Cash. That's for their backline. They're using a system of 4-2-3-1. And in midfield, it's Yuri Tielemans and Boubacar Kamara, while ahead of those two is Jacob Ramsey, the captain John McGinn, Morgan Rogers, and then ahead of them at the tip of the forward line is none other than Marcus Rashford. Now, quite an interesting turn of things for Aston Villa, because for the first half of the season, it was Oli Watkins, of course, leading the lines and making everything tick for that Aston Villa side. When his form dipped, who would have thought that a January loan signing in Marcus Rashford for Manchester United would be the team that would be the player that guides Aston Villa forward for the rest of the season, and he stepped up quite in a spectacular style. My surprise for me in this particular starting lineup is the failure of Unai Emery to give Marco Asensio the nod ahead. Hello, sir. Thank you for tuning to the broadcast. Yes, like I was saying, Marco Asensio is a surprise commission for me. He's on the bench here alongside the likes of Axel Disasi, Tyrone Mings, Ross Barkley, Oli Watkins, Ian Madsen, Amadou Onana. Quite another omission. Amadou Onana had a brilliant start to his Aston Villa career after switching allegiances from Everton, but had gone cold in recent times. There with the stepping up of Boubacar Kamara and Yuri Tillemans. So, but anyways, we do remember Amadou Onana scoring a couple of goals at the start of the season and that kind of thing. So he's one of those on the bench. So, like I was saying, Marco Asensio has largely been known for being one of those players that do rise to the occasion as far as the UEFA Champions League is concerned. And he's featured in very many big games. That's in the UEFA Champions League, especially when he was still at Real Madrid and subsequently when he was at PSG. And when you look at his numbers in those competitions, for example, he in 2016-2017, he was on target when Real Madrid were knocking out Juventus because they beat them. They beat Juventus. Beating Bayern Munich 4-2 on aggregate to knock them out of the competition. That was, I think, at the quarterfinals. Then in the semi-finals, he scored against Juventus as Madrid won the tie 4-1 on aggregate. Then in the semi-finals of 2017-2018, he did score still against Bayern Munich as Real Madrid knocked them out. We all remember that Real Madrid proceeded to the 2018 final and beat up against Liverpool in that one. And then for the 2016-2017 season, there, I think I stand to be corrected, but he did score against Juventus. And then 2018-2019, at the round of 16, he scored as Real Madrid knocked out Ajax 2-1 on aggregate. Then that's for the round of 16. He did score in the home and away fixtures, respectively. Then for the 2020-2021 season, we all remember there at the round of 16, he did score against Atlanta as Real Madrid knocked out Atlanta by 3-1 on aggregate. And then still, that's for the quarterfinals, he also scored against Liverpool as Madrid knocked them out 3-1 on aggregate. Then in 2022-2023, he was on target still for Real Madrid as Real Madrid knocked out Chelsea 2-0 on aggregate. And then this season, the 2024-2025 campaign, the round of 16, he scored twice as that's home and away fixtures as Aston Villa knocked out Club Brugge there. So he's one of those players that do rise to the big occasions as far as the UEFA Champions League is concerned. And that's why I was saying I'm surprised personally that he's been omitted from the starting lineup when I'm sure he would fancy to have a big night against his own bosses of Paris Saint-Germain, because he, as we all know, he's on loan from PSG to Aston Villa for until the end of the season. Reports do suggest that Aston Villa may be looking forward to making that deal permanent, but his priority will be placed on first getting the deal done for Marcus Rashford in regards to what happens. What happened to your forehead? Uh, mm, None, man. I do not think anything happened unless you're saying you're not seeing me clearly. But it's nighttime around here, so the picture may not be as impressive as you may expect it to be. But it's all good. Hi, buddy. Thank you for tuning to the podcast. So that's that's the situation. Give me your predictions. PSG versus Aston Villa. Who do you think wins it? But either way, Marco Asensio will be one of those players that will come on as substitutes from that bench. That I do know for a fact. It will happen. Like I said, my prediction is a 2-1 victory for Paris Saint-Germain for this particular fixture. Anyway, let's move on quickly on to the other fixture. That's between Barcelona and Borussia Dortmund. Like we say, so Barcelona's starting 11 reads as Vokshek Szczesny, the former Arsenal and ex-Juventus goalkeeper who had gone into retirement. That's where Barcelona fetched him to after Andres ter Stegen suffered a long-term injury. So he starts in goal for Barcelona. Jules Koundé, Pau Kubasi, Inigo Martinez, and Alejandro Balade. Those are the players that Barcelona do have in their back four. Julius Koundé, Pau Kubasi, Inigo Martinez, and Alejandro Balde there for. Then in midfield, because they are using a system similar to that of Aston Villa, it's a 4-2-3-1. So in midfield, it's Frankie de Jong and Pedri that get the nod there to start. And then ahead of them is Lamine Yamal, Fermin Lopez, and Rafinha. Like I said, Rafinha has been one of the standout players for Barcelona. I think arguably by far Barcelona's best player this campaign. In the UEFA Champions League alone, he has 11 goals and 4 assists in 10 appearances in the UEFA Champions League. So he's quite been impressive. And like we did discuss briefly earlier on today in our morning broadcast, we did discuss about Barcelona. We said the main strength is scoring in plenty of goals. They do ship in goals on the other end. They do concede, but their biggest strength is scoring plenty of goals. And Rafinha has been quite integral on that. So leading the lines is none other than Robert Lewandowski. There, the former Borussia Dortmund and ex-Bayern Munich striker does lead the lines for Barcelona. Then on the side of Borussia Dortmund, guys, you'll forgive me, my pronunciation of these names won't be spot on. So, but kindly bear with me. But Borussia Dortmund in goal. Just a second. Yes, Borussia Dortmund in goal. Remember, Niko Kovac is the manager at Borussia Dortmund. Following after they sacked Nuri Sahin, they brought in Niko Kovac, who was, by the way, at Bayern Munich just as much as Hansi Flick. So I think when Hansi Flick left, he was replaced by Niko Kovac, and then when Niko Kovac was removed, then they brought in Julian Nagelsmann, and then he was removed. Julian Nagelsmann was fired. They brought in Thomas Tuchel on an interim basis, and then eventually they brought in Vincent Kompany. So, but anyway, Borussia Dortmund do have Gregor Kobol, that's in goal. Then they have Remy Besbaini, Velda Antoni, Emre Can, and then Julian Reison. Now, Emre Can is a midfielder, but because of injuries, he's being played at defense. So kindly bear with that. Then Felix Meka, and then Kanare Chukwu Emeka. So Kanare Chukwu Emeka, for those of you that do remember, was at Chelsea. That's in their midfield too. They're playing a similar system to that of Barcelona. It's a 4-2-3-1. And then ahead of that double pivot in the midfield is Jamie Gittens, Julian Brandit, and then Karim Adeyemi. And then, of course, leading the lines is Sahu Guarassi. Yeah, there. I think he's what? Is he a Ghanaian international? Maybe. But anyway, so that's as impressive as things come. I think he's He's a Guinea international. Yes, he's from Guinea. So, what is your prediction for this Barcelona Dortmund game? Like I said, my prediction is a 3-1 victory for Barcelona, or could be 3-2, but I'm going for 3-1 for Barcelona to win up against Borussia Dortmund. Because of Barcelona's leaky defense, that's why I think Dortmund could get a goal in this one. Do let me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section. And as things come, who do you think will win in tonight's fixture? As we look for some comments here. The key facts to note, of course, the last time that Unai Emery and Luis Enrique faced each other was 6-1 for PSG. Remember, Unai Emery, he's a former PSG manager. He left PSG back in 2018, and then he landed himself into the Arsenal job after Arsene Wenger had left the club. That was at the end of the 2017-2018 season. That's when Arsene Wenger leaves. And then Unai Emery comes in for the 2018-2019 season and guided Arsenal to a 50th place finish. We all remember Arsenal capitulating in the pursuit of a top 4 finish. And then he took them to the finals of the Europa League. That's 2018-2019, and they lost to Chelsea in Baku, losing by 4-1. Hi Rocco, thank you. Thank you for the subscription. So that's the last time the two sides met, or the two managers met. But Unai Emery's performance in Europe is one not to be questioned, because, like I did highlight, he did guide Sevilla to 3 consecutive Europa League titles. He did guide Aston Villa, Villarreal to the triumph of the same competition, and he's been largely impressive. And you do fancy that. I mean, we cannot just write them off because of the kind of manager they have, very tactically astute, but he is facing a manager that is equally tactically astute on the other side in Luis Enrique. The two managers, of course, know each other very well from their time in the Spanish La Liga and that kind of thing. So, but so much has changed between the time when Unai Emery was at PSG and now when Luis Enrique is there. So let's wait and see how everything here spans out between the two sides. Anyway, allow me close it here, wrap it up here. You should get more support. Yes, Rocco, thank you so much. But allow me wrap it here and let's go enjoy the games. Personally, I'm going to be watching that game between PSG and Aston Villa because I only have one screen, but I'll be monitoring events from the other game between Barcelona and Borussia Dortmund. Otherwise, allow me wish you a wonderful, watching of those games. For those of you that do enjoy this sport as much as we do here on Football Tribe. Otherwise, for now, stay blessed. Until next time. Bye-bye.